The fluorescent lights hummed their tired song above Metro Diner at 11:40 on a Thursday night. Nora Vale moved between tables like a ghost, refilling coffee cups that didn't need refilling, smiling that careful smile she'd perfected, the one that said, "I'm here to help," without saying I exist at all. She'd worked the late shift for 3 years, same cracked vinyl booze, same smell of burnt coffee and desperation, same types of people who came in after midnight, insomniacs, night shift workers, lonely souls looking for somewhere warm to sit while the city slept around them. Nora liked the late shift. Fewer people meant fewer chances to mess up, fewer moments where her stutter might crawl up her throat and strangle her words into broken sounds that made customers impatient. The darkness outside the windows felt safer somehow, like the whole world was hiding with her. She was 23 years old and had never been noticed by anyone who mattered. Tonight, that would change. "Coffee's cold." The voice cut through Nora's thoughts. She turned to find a young woman at table 7, platinum blonde hair, styled in that effortless way that cost hundreds of dollars to achieve, designer purse positioned just so on the table. The woman, girl really, maybe 20, held up her cup with 2 perfectly manicured fingers like it was contaminated. "I'm sorry," Nora managed, reaching for the cup. "I'll get you fresh." "You'll get me fresh? Wow, what incredible service." The blonde's voice dripped with theatrical sarcasm. Her friends, 3 other polished girls clustered in the booth, giggled. "Did you hear that, Sienna? She'll get you fresh coffee. Someone give this girl a medal." Sienna. Nora recognized her now. Sienna Hawthorne, Senator Hawthorne's daughter. Her face was all over social media, always at some charity gala or political fundraiser, always photographed from her best angle, always smiling that practiced smile that never reached her eyes. "It's fine," Nora whispered, taking the cup. Her hands trembled slightly. "Just one minute." Jesus, she stutters too. One of the friends wrinkled her nose. "Where do they find these people?" Nora's face burned. She turned toward this coffee station, willing herself invisible again, willing this moment to pass like all the others had passed, uncomfortably, painfully, but ultimately forgettable. "Hey, waitress!" She stopped. "Don't turn around. Just keep walking. I'm talking to you." Nora turned. Sienna was standing now, phone in hand, that predatory gleam in her eye that Nora had seen before in other people. The look that said, "I'm bored in your entertainment." Yes? Come here." Every instinct screamed at Nora to run, but she'd been trained her whole life to be compliant, to not make waves, to do what she was told. She walked back to the table, coffee cup still in her shaking hands. Sienna's smile widened. "You know what I think? I think you spit in this coffee. That's why you're so nervous." I didn't." "She's recording you," one of the friends stage whispered, then dissolved into giggles. Nora's eyes dropped to Sienna's phone. The red recording light blinked at her like an accusation. "I would never—" "Show us your hands," Sienna commanded. "What?" "Your hands! Show everyone!" Sienna's voice rose, theatrical and sharp, designed to draw attention. "Show us those disgusting, dirty hands that touch people's food." The diner had gone quiet. Nora could feel eyes on her from every direction. The night cook had stopped moving in the kitchen. The only other waitress on shift had frozen by the register. The handful of customers scattered throughout the diner were all staring now. Nora held out her hands. They were clean. She washed them compulsively, had since childhood, terrified of giving anyone any reason to criticize her. "Look at those nails!" Sienna leaned in, phone camera capturing everything. "Absolutely filthy. This is what serves our food, people. This is the hygiene standard at Metro Diner. Disgusting." Nora's nails were short, clean, unpolished. There was nothing wrong with them. But Sienna's words were building a different reality, one that would live forever on video, one that strangers would believe, because why would a senator's daughter lie? I'm sorry if... Sienna's voice hit a pitch of manufactured outrage. "There's no if. You're disgusting. This whole place is disgusting. You probably spit in everyone's food, don't you?" Poor little waitress, so bitter about her pathetic life that she has to take it out on her betters. The words landed like physical blows. Nora's vision was starting to tunnel. Her chest felt tight. She knew this feeling, the panic attack crawling up her spine, ready to drag her under in front of everyone. Apologize, Sienna demanded. Nora's stutter locked her throat completely. The word wouldn't come. Apologize. The coffee cup slipped from Nora's hands. It seemed to fall in slow motion, tumbling through the air, coffee arcing outward in a spray of brown liquid that splashed across Sienna's white designer dress, across her phone, across the table. For one frozen heartbeat, nobody moved. Then Sienna screamed, "She threw it at me! She threw coffee at me! You all saw it!" Sienna jumped back, holding her dress away from her body, phone somehow still recording despite the coffee dripping from it. "Assault! This is assault! Someone call the police!" "I didn't. It slipped. I'm sorry." Nora's words tumbled out broken and desperate. "You're sorry? You're sorry?" Sienna's face was flushed with genuine anger now, all pretense of boredom gone. "Do you know how much this dress costs? Do you have any idea? More than you make in 6 months, you clumsy, disgusting—" "That's enough." The voice came from the corner booth, the one tucked in shadows near the back wall, deep, calm, carrying the kind of authority that made Sienna's rant die mid-word. A man stood up. Nora had noticed him earlier, hard not to, even though he'd been sitting so still she'd almost forgotten he was there. Dark suit that probably cost more than her car. Face that could have been carved from stone, all sharp angles and controlled expression. He was maybe 35, with black hair swept back and eyes so dark they looked black in the diner's harsh lighting. He'd been sitting alone, hadn't ordered anything but coffee, had been reading something on his tablet when Nora had served him hours ago. She'd barely looked at him, too nervous around men like that, men who radiated danger the way other people radiated cologne. Now he was walking toward them, and Sienna's friends were shrinking back in their booth. "This is none of your business," Sienna said, but her voice had lost its cutting edge. She knew him. Nora could see it in the way Sienna's eyes widened slightly, the way her hand holding the phone dropped a few inches. "You're making it everyone's business," the man said. He stopped a few feet from Sienna, hands in his pockets, posture relaxed, but something coiled beneath the surface. "The whole diner's business. The internet's business, apparently." He nodded at the still recording phone. "So let's make it my business, too. Do you know who I am?" Sienna Hawthorne, Senator's daughter, charity circuit regular. 3DU is swept under the rug. 2 assault charges that disappeared. 4 restraining orders from former friends that your father's lawyers made go away. His voice never rose above conversational, but each word landed with devastating precision. "Did I miss anything?" Sienna's face had gone white. "You can't. Can't what? Tell the truth? You were just so passionate about truth a moment ago." He gestured at Nora, who had frozen completely, unable to process what was happening. She dropped a cup. "Accidents happen. You've been verbally abusing her for the last 10 minutes, on camera, for entertainment. That's not an accident. That's cruelty. She needs to learn her place. Her place." The man's expression didn't change, but something in his tone made Sienna step backward. "And what's your place, exactly? Making servers cry? Destroying someone's dignity for likes and shares? That's what you do with your privilege? That's your purpose?" The diner was silent except for the hum of the refrigerators, the distant traffic outside. Everyone was watching now. The dynamic had shifted so completely that Nora felt dizzy trying to follow it. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Sienna tried to recover her bravado. "You have no right. Adrian Moretti." He let the name sit there. "Now you know who I am, so let's try this again. Apologize to her." Nora saw the recognition hit Sienna like a physical force. Adrian Moretti. Even Nora knew that name, had heard it whispered in the diner late at night when cops came in for coffee and talked in low voices about cases that went nowhere, about evidence that disappeared, about the man who ran half the city's underground from behind perfectly legitimate business fronts. A crime boss. A criminal. And he was defending her. "I'm not apologizing to— Yes, you are." Adrian's voice dropped lower. "Or I call your father right now and tell him about the pharmaceutical shipment you've been skimming from his campaign donors, the one you've been reselling through your boyfriend's wellness center. Want to explain that to the senator?" Sienna's face went through several colors. Her friends had gone completely silent, trying to press themselves into the booth cushions like they could disappear. "You're bluffing." Adrian pulled out his phone, pressed a single button. "Senator Hawthorne? Yes, sorry to call so late." "Wait!" Sienna's voice cracked. "Wait, fine, fine." Adrian lowered the phone, ended the call that may or may not have actually connected. He waited. Sienna turned to Nora with eyes full of hatred. "I'm sorry," she spat out. "Mean it," Adrian said quietly. "I'm sorry," Sienna repeated, each syllable dripping with resentment. For being rude, for verbally abusing her, for filming it, for trying to destroy her reputation for fun." Adrian's tone allowed no shortcuts. "Say it properly, or I make the call." Sienna's jaw clenched so tight Nora could see the muscles jumping. "I'm sorry for verbally abusing you and filming it and trying to make you look bad. There, happy?" She looked at Adrian, not Nora. The apology wasn't real, wasn't meaningful, but it was surrender, and everyone in the room knew it. "Delete the video," Adrian said. "What?" "The video on your phone. Delete it. Now." "I have rights." "So does she. Delete it." Sienna looked around, maybe hoping for support, for someone to intervene. The other customers suddenly became very interested in their plates. The other waitress was nowhere to be seen. Even Sienna's friends were avoiding her gaze. With shaking hands, Sienna pulled up the video, paused it, deleted it. "Good." Adrian turned to Nora for the first time, really looked at her. His eyes were less harsh when they met hers, though no less intense. "You okay?" Nora couldn't speak, could barely breathe. She managed a tiny nod. "You don't have to be scared of her," he said, voice lower now, "just for her. Or anyone like her. You understand?" Another small nod. She didn't understand at all. Adrian turned back to Sienna. "Leave. Don't come back here. Don't contact her. Don't post about this. If I see one word about tonight online, if I hear you've harassed anyone else at this diner, we'll have a much longer conversation. Clear?" Sienna grabbed her purse, her phone, gestured sharply to her friends. They scrambled out of the booth, threw cash on the table, way too much cash, and fled toward the exit like children dismissed by an angry parent. Just before she reached the door, Sienna turned back. She looked at Nora with pure venom, mouthed something that looked like "this isn't over," then disappeared into the night. The door chimed shut. The diner slowly came back to life. Quiet conversations resumed. Silverware clinked. The cook returned to the kitchen. Nora stood there, coffee soaking into the floor around her feet, her entire body shaking now that the adrenaline was crashing. Adrian was still there, standing a respectful distance away, watching her with an expression she couldn't read. "Thank you," she whispered. The words came out broken, barely audible. "Don't thank me yet." His voice was grim. "She's vindictive. She'll find a way to retaliate. They always do. I don't understand why you... I don't like bullies." Simple. Direct. Then he reached into his jacket, pulled out a business card, set it on the table. "If she causes problems, call me." Nora stared at the card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering, just a name and a phone number. "I can't." "You can. You might need to." He paused. "What's your name?" "Nora. Nora Vale." "Nora." He said it like he was filing it away. "Go home. Take tomorrow off if you need to. This place isn't worth..." He stopped himself. "Just be careful." Then he was walking away, back to his corner booth, collecting his tablet, leaving cash on his own table. He walked past her toward the exit, and Nora caught a glimpse of something in his expression. Not pity, exactly. Something else. Something that looked almost like recognition. The door chimed again. He was gone. Nora stood there holding his business card, her hands still shaking, her mind unable to process what had just happened. Martha, the other waitress, finally emerged from the back. "Sweet Jesus, girl, do you know who that was?" "Adrian and Moretti." "Adrian Moretti don't intervene for random waitresses." Martha's eyes were wide. "He don't do anything without a reason. You better watch yourself." "He was just helping." "Men like that don't just help." Martha started cleaning up the spilled coffee, shaking her head. And Sienna Hawthorne? You just made an enemy of one of the most connected families in the city. That video might be deleted from her phone, but you really think she don't have it backed up somewhere? Nora's stomach dropped. She hadn't thought about that. Go home, Martha said, not unkindly. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be rough. Nora changed out of her coffee-stained uniform in the bathroom, hands fumbling with the buttons. She caught sight of herself in the mirror, pale face, dark circles under her eyes, mousy brown hair pulled back in a ponytail, the kind of utterly forgettable appearance she'd cultivated for years. You don't have to be scared of her, Adrian had said, but Nora had been scared of everyone her entire life. It was how she survived. She took the bus home to her studio apartment in the East Side, the kind of neighborhood where sirens were background noise and everyone kept their eyes down. Her apartment was on the 4th floor of a walk-up with broken elevator and flickering hallway lights. Cheap. Safe enough. Anonymous. She locked 3 different locks on her door, deadbolt, chain, doorknob, and leaned against it, finally allowing herself to breathe. Her phone buzzed. A text from her manager. What the hell happened tonight? Got a call from corporate. Call me first thing tomorrow. Nora's hands shook as she typed back. Sorry, we'll explain. She didn't sleep. Lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the confrontation over and over. Sienna's cruelty. The crowd's silence. Adrian rising from the shadows like something out of a movie. Men like that don't just help. But he had. He'd stood up when no one else would. He'd forced an apology, forced a deletion, forced Sienna to back down. Why? At 4 a.m, Nora finally drifted into uneasy sleep, Adrian's business card on her nightstand next to her phone. She dreamed of falling coffee cups and watching eyes, and a voice in the darkness saying, "You don't have to be scared." She woke 3 hours later to her phone exploding with notifications. 37 missed calls, 62 text messages, her social media accounts flooded with tags and mentions. With shaking hands, she opened the first link someone had sent her. The video was everywhere, but it wasn't the video she'd seen deleted. This was edited, cut, manipulated. It started with Nora's face, frozen in an angry expression that must have been captured mid-word but looked like pure rage. Then cut to the coffee flying through the air, then Sienna's scream, then Adrian standing, but the audio was replaced with ominous music and his words cut out of context. Tell the truth. Accidents happen. You need to learn. The caption read, "Violent waitress attacks senator's daughter. Mysterious man threatens victim." The video had 40,000 views and climbing. The comments were worse. She looked psycho-entitled server couldn't handle being called out. That poor girl just wanted coffee, and this crazy bee attacked her. Why isn't she arrested? Fire her immediately. People like this shouldn't work with the public. Nora dropped her phone like it had burned her. This couldn't be happening. Her phone rang. Manager. She let it go to voicemail. Rang again. Corporate. Voicemail. Rang again. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but some instinct made her pick up. Nora Vale? Yes? This is Detective Morrison, City Police. We need you to come to the station to answer some questions about an incident last night at Metro Diner. Her world tilted. What? Sienna Hawthorne has filed assault charges. There's also a civil suit being prepared. You need to come in and make a statement. I didn't. It was an accident. That's what the statement is for, ma'am. Can you come in this morning? Nora's mind was white noise. Assault charges, civil suit, police station. I need a lawyer. That's your right, but the sooner you come in and clear this up, the better. These things tend to escalate if they're left alone. The detective's tone was almost kind, which somehow made it worse. Okay, Nora heard herself say. Okay. When? 9 o'clock, station on 5th and Madison. She hung up, looked at the time. 7:15, less than 2 hours. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Saw the news. This is wrong. You need legal help. Call me. Thomas Rivera, and Associates. Another text. Another lawyer offering services. Another, a journalist. Want to tell your side of the story? Her phone was lighting up like a slot machine, everyone wanting a piece of her, everyone circling like sharks who'd smelled blood in the water. Nora couldn't breathe. The walls were closing in. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. She was nobody. She'd spent her whole life being nobody. You couldn't destroy nobody. But they were destroying her anyway. Her hands found Adrian's business card without conscious thought. If she causes problems, call me. Nora stared at the card, at the embossed number, at her only option. Martha's warning echoed. Men like that don't just help, but men like everyone else didn't help at all. They watched, they recorded, they stayed silent. At least Adrian had stood up. Nora dialed before she could change her mind. The phone rang once, twice. Adrian Moretti. His voice was calm, alert, like he'd been expecting the call. It's Nora from the diner. You said if she caused problems. Her words tumbled out, broken and desperate. What happened? The video, it's everywhere, but it's edited. They made it look like I attacked her. The police called. They want me to come in. There's assault charges and a lawsuit, and I don't know what to do, and everyone thinks I'm... Her voice broke completely, silence on the other end. Then, where are you? Home. My apartment. Give me the address. I can't... Nora. His voice was firm but not harsh. Give me the address. I'm going to help you, but I need to know where you are. Every warning bell in her head was screaming. Don't tell strange men where you live. Don't trust criminals. Don't get more involved with dangerous people. But she was already drowning, already destroyed, already alone. She gave him the address. Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone but me. Don't talk to any reporters, any lawyers, anyone. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Okay. Nora. His voice softened almost imperceptibly. You're going to be all right. I promise. He hung up. Nora sat on her bed, phone clutched in her hands, watching her life disintegrate in real time across her screen. The video was up to 75,000 views. The hashtags were trending. Hashtag Metro Diner Attack. Hashtag Justice for Sienna. Hashtag Arrest Nora. Someone had found her apartment building, posted a photo of the entrance online. This is where the psycho lives. 4th floor. Someone should pay her a visit. Terror locked her throat. Nora ran to her door, checked all 3 locks, then pushed her small table against it for good measure. 18 minutes later, a knock. It's Adrian. She looked through the peephole. It was him, alone, same dark suit, same controlled expression. Nora moved the table, unlocked the locks, opened the door a crack. He held up both hands, showing he wasn't a threat. Can I come in? She nodded, stepped back. Adrian entered her tiny studio, his presence making the small space feel even smaller. He took it in with a quick glance. The futon that served as bed and couch. The kitchenette barely big enough for one person. The single window with its view of a brick wall. You live alone? Yes? Good. Pack a bag. Enough for a few days. What? You can't stay here. Your address is online. People are threatening you. It's not safe. I can't just leave. Yes, you can. He turned to face her fully. Nora, listen to me. This is going to get worse before it gets better. The senator's daughter has resources you can't imagine. She has lawyers, PR teams, media connections, political favors to call in. She's going to try to bury you. The only way to fight back is to not be where she expects you to be. Where would I even go? Somewhere safe. Somewhere they can't find you while we work on fixing this. We? His eyes met hers. I told you I don't like bullies. I meant it. But why? The question burst out of her. Why do you care? You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. Why would you help me? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful. Because I know what it's like to be powerless, to have someone destroy you just because they can. And I decided a long time ago that when I had power, I wouldn't let that happen to people who couldn't fight back. It wasn't the whole truth. Nora could sense that, but it was true enough. I'm nobody, she whispered. I'm not worth this much trouble. You're worth more than you know. He said it with such certainty that Nora almost believed him. Now pack. We need to move before this gets worse. Nora looked around her apartment, her sad, small, safe space, the only place that was hers. Then she looked at her phone, still buzzing with threats and hatred. She went to her closet, pulled out a duffel bag, started packing. Adrian's car was nothing like Nora expected. She'd pictured something flashy, aggressive, the kind of vehicle that screamed money and danger. Instead, it was a dark sedan, expensive but understated, the kind that could blend into traffic without drawing attention. He opened the passenger door for her, waited until she was inside, then closed it gently. The interior smelled like leather and something clean she couldn't identify. Everything was immaculate. Adrian slid into the driver's seat, started the engine. Phone! What? Your phone, give it to me. Nora clutched her bag tighter. Why? Because they're tracking you through it. Social media, location services, even if you turn everything off, there are ways. He held out his hand. I'm not taking it permanently. Just need to make sure you can't be found. Every instinct told her not to. Her phone was her lifeline, her connection to the world, the only thing that made her feel less alone. But alone was exactly what had gotten her into this mess. She pulled out her phone, placed it in his palm. Their fingers didn't touch. Adrian powered it down, removed the SIM card with practiced efficiency, slipped both into his jacket pocket. I'll get you a clean one. Untraceable number. You can contact who you need to contact, but they won't be able to find you through it. Who's they? Senator Hawthorne's people, private investigators, reporters, anyone Sienna's paying to make your life hell. He pulled away from the curb smoothly. And trust me, she's paying. Nora watched her apartment building disappear in the side mirror. I have to work. I have rent due in 2 weeks. I can't just vanish. You're suspended from work. Your manager called corporate last night. They put you on leave pending investigation. The words hit like a punch. How do you know that? I know a lot of things. He navigated through morning traffic with the same controlled precision he seemed to apply to everything. Your landlord's already gotten 3 calls from reporters offering money for information about you. One tried to bribe the super to let them into your apartment. Nora's stomach turned. That's illegal. So is editing footage to manufacture an assault charge, but here we are. Adrian's voice was matter-of-fact. The law works differently for people like the Hawthornes. They have lawyers who know exactly how far they can push before it becomes a problem. And right now, you're not enough of a problem to worry them. Then why are they doing this? Because Sienna's embarrassed. Because I humiliated her in public. Because she needs to win, needs to be the victim, needs everyone to see you punished. He glanced at her briefly. And because her father's up for re-election in 8 months. A scandal involving his daughter assaulting a working-class waitress plays badly. But his daughter being attacked by an unstable employee? That's sympathetic. That's relatable. Nora's hands twisted in her lap. So I'm just collateral damage. You're a narrative they're building, one that serves their purposes. Adrian turned onto the highway heading north out of the city. My job is to build a different narrative, one that's actually true. Why? The question came out smaller than she intended. You still haven't really explained why you're doing this. Adrian was quiet for several blocks. The city slid past outside the windows, familiar streets giving way to areas Nora rarely ventured into. Cleaner, newer, expensive. I had a sister, he finally said. Julia. 3 years younger than me. Sweetest person you'd ever meet. Worked as a paralegal at a big firm downtown. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Her boss was a partner, connected family, political donations, charity boards, the whole package. He harassed her for months. She reported it. Firm buried it. She went to the media. They buried her instead. Nora held her breath. Destroyed her reputation. Made her look like a liar, a gold digger, unstable. She couldn't get another job. Couldn't show her face without people recognizing her from the smear campaign. She lasted 6 months before... He stopped, before she decided she couldn't take it anymore. I'm sorry, Nora whispered. I was building my organization back then. Had money, had connections, but I was focused on the wrong things. Turf, power, profit. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. I didn't see what was happening to her until it was too late. Didn't use what I had to protect the one person who actually mattered. The silence in the car felt heavy. So when I see someone like Sienna Hawthorne using her privilege to crush someone who can't fight back, I think about Julia. I think about all the times I could have intervened and didn't. I think about the fact that I have power now, real power, and what the hell is it worth if I don't use it to stop the same thing from happening to someone else? Nora's throat was tight. I'm not your sister. No, but you're someone's daughter, someone's friend, someone who matters, even if you don't believe it. He exited the highway onto a tree-lined road she didn't recognize. And maybe I can't save Julia, but I can make damn sure Sienna Hawthorne doesn't get away with destroying you. They drove in silence for another 10 minutes. The neighborhoods got progressively more upscale, houses hidden behind gates and hedges, the kind of wealth that didn't need to advertise itself. Adrian turned into a private drive, stopped at a gate, pressed a code. The gate swung open. "Where are we?" Nora asked. "Somewhere safe." The house at the end of the drive was massive but not ostentatious. Modern architecture, lots of glass and clean lines, surrounded by mature trees that provided privacy from the road. A fountain burbled near the entrance. "This is your house?" "One of them." Adrian parked in the circular drive, killed the engine. "No one knows about this property except my lawyer and my head of security. It's not in my name. Can't be traced back to me through public records. You'll be safe here." Nora stared at the house, her mind struggling to process. Can't stay in your house. You can, and you will. At least until we get this situation under control." He got out, came around to open her door. "I won't be here most of the time. I have business to handle, and it's better if we're not seen together right now. But the house is secure, fully stocked, and there's a staff that can help you with whatever you need." "Staff?" "Housekeeper comes twice a week. She's discreet. There's also Marcus, head of security. He'll be on the property, but he won't bother you unless there's a problem." This was insane. This was too much. Nora clutched her duffel bag like a lifeline. "I don't understand any of this. Yesterday, I was just a waitress. Today, I'm hiding in a crime boss's secret house because a senator's daughter wants to destroy me. This doesn't happen to people like me." "It shouldn't happen to anyone." Adrian's voice was firm. "Come inside. I'll show you around, explain the plan, then I need to go handle some things." The interior of the house was as sleek as the exterior. Minimalist furniture, expensive art that Nora didn't recognize. Everything in shades of white and gray and black. It felt more like a museum than a home. "Kitchen's fully stocked," Adrian said, leading her through a living room that could have fit her entire apartment. "Help yourself to anything. There's a bedroom upstairs, second door on the left, private bathroom. TV has all the streaming services if you want to distract yourself, though I'd recommend avoiding the news for now." Nora followed him like a ghost, overwhelmed by the space, the luxury, the unreality of it all. "Marcus will be in his guest house out back. You need anything? There's an intercom system." Adrian pulled out his phone, tapped something. "I'm sending you his contact info on the new phone. It's on the kitchen counter, already programmed with my number and Marcus's. Don't give the number to anyone else, not friends, not family, no one." "I don't really have anyone to give it to," Nora admitted quietly. Something shifted in Adrian's expression. "No family?" "My mom died when I was 12. Dad's been gone since I was 19. No siblings, no real friends, just acquaintances from work." "Boyfriend?" The question came out casual, but Nora felt the weight behind it. "No, there was someone a few years ago, but..." She stopped, not wanting to go into the details of that disaster. "No one now." Adrian nodded, filing away the information. "That actually makes this easier. Fewer people who can accidentally leak your location. Fewer people to worry about. Fewer people who'd notice if I disappeared," Nora said before she could stop herself. "I'd notice." He said it so simply, so matter-of-factly, that it took her breath away. "Now, the plan. I've already contacted a lawyer, best defense attorney in the city. She's reviewing the assault charges, preparing a response. I've also got someone working on getting the full, unedited security footage from the diner. It'll prove the coffee was an accident, prove Sienna was harassing you." "The diner will give you that?" "The diner's owned by a shell corporation that's owned by another company that eventually traces back to someone who owes me a favor. They'll cooperate." He moved to the kitchen, picked up a sleek new phone, handed it to her. "This is yours. My number's programmed as A. You need anything? Call, day or night." Nora took the phone with shaking hands. What if this doesn't work? What if her father's too powerful and the footage doesn't matter and I end up in jail for something I didn't do? That won't happen. You can't know that. Nora. He waited until she looked at him. I've been doing this a long time. I know how to fight people like the Hawthorns. I know their pressure points, their weaknesses, their secrets. The senator's not invincible. Neither is his daughter. And when you have the truth on your side, you just need the right leverage to make sure people listen to it. What kind of leverage? A slight smile, cold and precise. The kind that makes powerful people very nervous. Let me worry about that part. Your job is to stay here, stay safe, and let me handle the rest. It should have been terrifying, trusting a criminal to fight her battles. But everyone else had abandoned her. The legal system was being weaponized against her. Her employer had thrown her to the wolves. The court of public opinion had already convicted her. Adrian was the only one willing to fight. Okay, she whispered. Good. He checked his watch. I need to go. Remember, don't leave the property, don't use your old phone, don't contact anyone. You're a ghost until I say otherwise. He was almost to the door when Nora found her voice again. Adrian? He turned. Thank you for believing me, for helping me when you don't have to. Her eyes stung with tears she wouldn't let fall. I don't know why you're really doing this, but thank you. Something in his expression softened. You don't need to thank me, just trust me. Can you do that? It was a huge ask. Trust from someone who'd spent her whole life learning that trust got you hurt, but she nodded anyway. Adrian left, and the house fell into silence. Nora stood in the massive kitchen, clutching her new phone, surrounded by luxury she'd never dreamed of touching, and felt more alone than she'd ever felt in her life. She found the bedroom he'd indicated, a space bigger than her entire apartment, with a king bed dressed in white linens, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the wooded property, and a bathroom that looked like something from a magazine. She set her duffel bag on the bed, stared at it. Everything she owned that mattered fit in one bag. The new phone buzzed. Text from A. How are you holding up? Nora stared at the message. How was she holding up? She was hiding in a stranger's house, jobless, facing criminal charges, her reputation destroyed, her entire life imploding. She typed back, Okay, thank you for the room. It's yours as long as you need it. Try to rest. I'll check in later. Rest. As if she could rest when her whole world was burning down. But exhaustion was pulling at her, the adrenaline crash hitting hard. She hadn't slept properly in 2 days. Her body was done. Nora lay down on top of the covers, still fully dressed, and closed her eyes. She woke to afternoon sun slanting through the windows and the smell of food. For a confused moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Then it all came flooding back. Nora got up, followed the smell to the kitchen. A woman in her 50s, gray hair pulled back efficiently, was unpacking groceries. Oh, you're up, the woman smiled warmly. I'm Rosa. Mr. Moretti asked me to stock the kitchen and make sure you had everything you needed. I made some soup, figured you might be hungry. Thank you, you didn't have to. Of course I did. Can't have you going hungry. Rosa ladled soup into a bowl, set it on the counter with fresh bread and butter. Mr. Moretti said you might be staying a while. Anything you need, you just let me know. Dietary restrictions, favorite foods? It was such a normal question in such an abnormal situation that Nora almost laughed. No restrictions. I'm not picky. Good. Makes my job easier. Rosa patted her hand. I know you're going through something. Mr. Moretti didn't give me details, and I don't need them. But you're safe here. That man takes care of the people under his protection. I'm not under his protection. I'm just... Nora stopped, not sure how to finish. Honey, if you're in this house, you're under his protection. That's how it works. Rosa started putting groceries away. I've worked for Mr. Moretti for 6 years. I've seen him help a lot of people. He's got a reputation on the outside, sure, but the people who know him? We know he's got a code, a line he won't cross. And protecting people who can't protect themselves? That's on the right side of his line. Nora ate the soup, homemade, rich, delicious, while Rosa bustled around the kitchen. It felt surreal being taken care of by a stranger in a house that belonged to a crime boss, hiding from a senator's vendetta. After Rosa left, Nora wandered the house, found a library with floor-to-ceiling shelves, a home gym, a media room. Everything perfect and untouched, like a model home. The new phone buzzed. Text from A. Turn on the news, Channel 7. Nora's stomach clenched. She found the remote, turned on the massive TV in the living room. Senator Hawthorne's face filled the screen. Absolutely horrifying that my daughter had to endure such an attack, he was saying, standing at a podium bristling with microphones. Sienna is traumatized. She was simply asking for fresh coffee when this woman became violent and assaulted her without provocation. The edited video played on a split screen. We're pursuing all legal avenues to ensure justice is served. No one should fear for their safety when patronizing a business. This kind of violence, this kind of instability in service workers, it's a public safety issue. The reporter's voice. There are reports that a man intervened during the incident. Can you comment on that? The senator's expression darkened. We're investigating who that individual was and why he felt the need to threaten my daughter. If he has information about the assault, he should come forward to the police. If he was involved in orchestrating this attack, there will be consequences. Orchestrating the attack. They were trying to tie Adrian to it, make him look like he'd put Nora up to it. The phone rang. She answered without thinking. You saw it, Adrian's voice. They're lying. They're completely lying. I know. That's what they do. He sounded calm, unbothered. Don't panic. This is actually good. How is this good? Because the senator just went on record with a specific narrative. The more he commits to that story, the harder it'll hit when we prove it's false. He's digging his own grave. What if no one cares about the truth? They will when we make it impossible to ignore. Background noise on his end, voices, traffic. I'm working on something. Should have it by tomorrow. In the meantime, you need to prepare yourself. For what? For your past to get dragged into this. They're going to dig into your history, look for anything they can use to paint you as unstable. You need to tell me now if there's anything they could find, anything that could hurt the case. Nora's blood went cold. What kind of things? Criminal record, psychiatric history, restraining orders, anything that fits their narrative. Her hands were shaking. There's no criminal record, but what? She closed her eyes. 4 years ago, I had a boyfriend, Evan. Things got bad. He was controlling, jealous. It escalated. One night Her voice cracked. He put me in the hospital. Broken ribs, concussion. I pressed charges, but he had a good lawyer and my testimony fell apart because I was so scared and I stuttered so badly they couldn't understand half of what I said. And eventually I dropped it. I couldn't handle the trial. Silence on the other end. Adrian? Did he threaten you to drop the charges? No, I couldn't do it. Couldn't face him again. Couldn't relive it. Shame burned through her. I know that makes me look weak. It makes you look like a victim of domestic violence who didn't get the support she needed from the system. His voice had gone hard. Where's Evan now? I don't know. I moved, changed my number. Haven't heard from him since. Last name? Carter. Evan Carter. Okay, I'll handle it. What does that mean? It means if he's still in the city, he won't be a problem. And if the Hawthorns try to use your past against you, they'll find out very quickly that it backfires. A pause. Nora, I need you to understand something. What happened to you wasn't your fault. Dropping the charges doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And anyone who tries to twist that into a weapon, they're the ones who should be ashamed. Tears were sliding down her face now. Why do you care so much? I told you, I don't like bullies. And I'm very good at making them sorry. His tone shifted slightly. Get some rest. Don't watch the news anymore tonight. I'll call you tomorrow. He hung up. Nora sat in the massive living room, crying silently, the TV still playing coverage of her destruction on mute. The next morning, she woke to her phone buzzing incessantly. Texts from A, all sent in the last hour. Don't panic. Stay inside. I'm handling it. Call me when you're awake. Nora called immediately. What happened? Your address got leaked. Your full address, apartment number, everything. Posted on social media about 3 hours ago. Adrian's voice was tight. There's been people showing up at your building. Some reporters, some just assholes looking to harass you. Building Super called the cops twice already. Oh God, you're not there. They can't find you. That's what matters. Background noise. He was in a car. But it means we need to move faster than I planned. I'm meeting with my lawyer in an hour. We're going to file a countersuit. Defamation, emotional distress, invasion of privacy. Hit them from every angle. That'll make it worse. It'll make it public. Right now they control the narrative. We need to force them to defend themselves instead of just attacking you. A pause. Do you trust me? That question again. I don't know. Fair enough. But I need you to act like you do. Can you do that? Nora thought about her apartment building swarmed with people who hated her. Thought about the senator on TV calling her dangerous. Thought about Sienna's smile as she'd recorded the humiliation. Yes. Good. I'll call you after the lawyer meeting. The day crawled by. Nora tried to read, couldn't focus. Tried to watch TV. Every channel felt like a minefield. Tried to eat the food Rosa had left, her stomach too tight to handle it. The new phone buzzed around 3 p.m., text from an unknown number. We know where you're hiding, Adrian Moretti's whore. You can't hide forever. Nora's hand shook as she forwarded it to Adrian. He called immediately. Are you okay? How did they get this number? You said it was clean. It is clean. They're phishing, sending threats to random numbers, hoping one reaches you. His voice was sharp. Block it. Don't respond. I'm sending Marcus to do a full security sweep of the property. What if they actually know? They don't. If they knew where you were, they wouldn't be texting threats. They'd be there. He paused. But I'm taking it seriously. Marcus will make sure the property's secure, and I'm coming by tonight. You don't have to. Yes, I do. He arrived after dark, emerging from the same sedan carrying takeout bags. Marcus followed him, a massive man who moved like violence waiting to happen, but nodded politely at Nora before disappearing to check the grounds. Chinese food, Adrian said, setting the bags on the kitchen counter. Figured you might need comfort food. They ate in the kitchen, an oddly domestic scene. Adrian had shed his suit jacket, loosened his tie. He looked tired. The lawyer meeting went well, he said between bites of lo mein. She's filing the countersuit tomorrow. We've also got the original security footage from the diner. Full coverage, multiple angles. Shows Sienna harassing you for 10 straight minutes before you drop the cup. Shows it was clearly an accident. Shows her friends encouraging her. Shows everything. Will it matter? It will when we release it publicly. He met her eyes. The senator's betting on you staying quiet. Betting on you being too scared or too broke or too isolated to fight back. He's not expecting a counterattack. When we hit him with the truth and the lawsuits all at once, he'll have to choose, double down and risk everything coming out, or back off and settle quietly. What if he doubles down? Then we destroy him. Adrian said it like he was discussing the weather. I've got investigators pulling every piece of dirt on the Hawthorne family, the senator's financial dealings, Sienna's past incidents that got buried, every skeleton in every closet. He wants to make this public. We'll make it very public. Nora pushed food around her plate. I never wanted this, never wanted to be at war with anyone. I know. His voice softened. But you are at war. You didn't choose it, but that doesn't make it less real. The question is whether you fight or surrender. What if I'm not strong enough to fight? You're stronger than you think. He reached across the table, hesitated, then gently touched her hand. You survived an abusive relationship. You survived losing everyone who mattered. You survived being invisible for so long you started to believe you didn't exist. And you're still here, still standing. That's not weakness, Nora. That's strength you haven't learned to recognize yet. His hand was warm, solid. The first human contact she'd had in days. Nora's eyes filled with tears. I'm so tired. I know. I don't know how to be the person you think I am. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. Adrian's thumb brushed across her knuckles, gentle, careful. I'm not asking you to be brave or fearless or perfect. I'm just asking you to let me help. Let me fight this battle while you get your strength back. Why? The word came out broken. Why do you care this much? Adrian was quiet, his hand still covering hers. Because when I look at you, I see someone who deserves better than what the world's given her. Someone who's been invisible for so long she forgot she was worth seeing. And maybe I can't fix everything that's broken in this city, but I can fix this. I can make sure Sienna Hawthorne doesn't get away with destroying another good person just because she can. He pulled his hand back, the moment breaking. Finish eating. You need your strength. They cleaned up together in silence. Marcus came back in, reported that the property was secure. No signs of surveillance or intrusion. He stationed himself in the guest house for the night. Adrian should have left, should have gone back to whatever criminal empire business he had waiting. Instead, he lingered. "You should get some sleep," he finally said. "Will you come back tomorrow?" "If you want me to." "I do." Nora said it before she could second-guess herself. "I feel safer when you're here." Something shifted in his expression. "Then I'll be here." He left close to midnight. Nora watched his taillights disappear down the drive, then locked the doors, set the alarm system he'd shown her how to use. She went upstairs to the two-big bedroom, lay down in the too-soft bed, and for the first time since the nightmare started, she fell asleep without crying. The countersuit hit the news like a bomb 3 days later. Nora was in the kitchen making coffee when her phone exploded with notifications. Not her old contacts. Those were gone, silenced, part of a life that felt increasingly distant. These were news alerts set up by Adrian to track the story. She opened the first one with shaking hands. Metro Diner waitress fights back. Lawsuit claims senator's daughter orchestrated attack. The article detailed everything. The unedited footage showing Sienna's harassment, the countersuit for defamation, emotional distress, and conspiracy to destroy Nora's reputation. Quotes from Adrian's lawyer painting Sienna as a serial bully protected by her father's political power. Her phone rang. "Adrian." "Don't read the comments," he said immediately. "I wasn't planning to." "Good. Because half will be people calling you brave, and the other half will be calling you a gold digger who's weaponizing the legal system." His voice was matter-of-fact. "What matters is that we've shifted the narrative. Now they have to defend themselves." "What happens next?" "They'll try to settle quietly, offer you money to go away, make you sign an NDA, bury the whole thing." Papers rustled on his end. "We're going to refuse." "What if I want the money?" The words came out before Nora could stop them. "What if I just want this to be over?" Silence. Then carefully, "Is that what you want?" Nora thought about her empty apartment, her suspended job, her destroyed reputation. Thought about starting over somewhere else with enough money to actually build a life. It was tempting. So tempting. But then she thought about Sienna's face in the diner, that casual cruelty, that absolute certainty that she could destroy someone weaker without consequence. "No," Nora said quietly. "I want them to pay for what they did." "Then that's what we'll make happen." Something in Adrian's voice warmed. "I have to handle some business today. Marcus will be on property. Rosa's coming by around noon. You need anything?" "I'm fine." "Nora." He waited until she acknowledged him. "You don't have to be fine. You can be angry, scared, frustrated, whatever you're actually feeling." "I don't know what I'm feeling anymore." "That's fair. We'll figure it out." He paused. "I'll be there tonight, around 8. We need to prep you for what's coming." "What's coming?" "A fight, a real one." He hung up before she could ask what that meant. Rosa arrived with groceries and a knowing smile. "Saw the news. You're making waves, honey." "I didn't want to make waves. I just wanted to be left alone." Sometimes being left alone means making waves first. Rosa started unpacking vegetables. "My daughter worked for a politician once. Different one, not Hawthorne. Saw how they operate. They count on people being too scared or too tired to fight back. The ones who do fight, those are the ones who change things. I'm not trying to change anything. I'm just trying to survive." Sometimes those are the same thing. Rosa pulled out chicken, started seasoning it for dinner. "Mr. Moretti called, said you might need company today. Want me to stay a while? We could watch something mindless on TV, or I could teach you my arroz con pollo recipe." The offer was so normal, so kind, that Nora's throat tightened. "You don't have to." "I know I don't have to. I want to." Rosa's eyes were warm. "You've been alone in this big house for days. That's too much quiet for anyone." They cooked together. Rosa talked about her grandchildren, her garden, her husband who'd passed 5 years ago. Normal things. Human things. Nora chopped vegetables and listened and felt something in her chest unclench slightly. "Mr. Moretti's a good man," Rosa said, sliding the chicken into the oven. "I know what people say about him. I know what he does. But I also know he paid for my grandson's surgery when insurance wouldn't cover it. Didn't ask for anything in return, just did it because he could. He said he had a sister." Rosa's expression softened. "Julia, beautiful girl. What happened to her?" She shook her head. Broke something in him. He was always intense, always driven. But after Julia, There was this edge, this need to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. Like if he saved enough others, maybe it would balance out the one he couldn't save. That's not how it works. No. But grief doesn't care about logic. Rosa started cleaning up. He sees something in you. I can tell. Way he talks about your case, way he makes sure you're taken care of. It's personal for him. I don't want to be his redemption project. I don't think that's what you are. Rosa met her eyes. I think you remind him that some people are worth fighting for, that not everyone in this world is corrupt or cruel or out for themselves. You're genuine. He's surrounded by people who want something from him. You just want to survive. That's refreshing. Before Nora could respond, her phone buzzed. Text from A. Turn on channel 5. Now. Nora grabbed the remote with Rosa looking over her shoulder. Senator Hawthorne was holding another press conference, but this time he looked rattled. Sweat beaded his forehead despite the indoor setting. His tie was slightly crooked. These baseless accusations are nothing more than a desperate attempt to extort money from my family. This waitress, this woman with a history of instability and violence. History of violence? The reporter's voice cut in. Can you elaborate on that? Her own boyfriend filed a report 4 years ago. Domestic dispute. She was treated for psychiatric issues. Nora's blood ran cold. He's lying. Evan was the one who... Shh. Rosa squeezed her shoulder. Keep watching. Another reporter spoke up. Senator, we've obtained medical records from that incident. They show Miss Vale was the victim, not the aggressor. She sustained serious injuries consistent with assault. Why are you misrepresenting? I'm not misrepresenting anything. I'm stating facts. The facts show your daughter has 3 prior incidents of harassment that were settled privately. Incidents involving service workers at restaurants, hotels, and retail establishments. All young women. All paid to stay quiet. Can you comment on that pattern? The senator's face went red. This press conference is over. One more question, Senator. Do you have any connection to Adrian Moretti, the man who intervened at the diner? There are rumors that your campaign has received donations from businesses linked to... The feed cut abruptly. Rosa let out a low whistle. Well, that was something. Nora's phone rang again. Adrian. Did you see it? He tried to use Evan against me, and it backfired spectacularly. I had my people leak the medical records to the press this morning, along with documentation of Sienna's prior incidents. His voice carried grim satisfaction. He's panicking, making mistakes. That question about the campaign donations? That came from a reporter I know. He'll be digging into the senator's finances now. You donated to his campaign? Not directly, but shell companies I'm connected to did years ago. Standard practice. You donate to everyone, keep your options open. But the optics of a senator who took money from organized crime going after a working-class victim? That's going to be a problem for him. Nora sank onto the couch. This is getting so big. It has to. They tried to destroy you quietly. We're destroying them loudly. That's the only way to win. A pause. How are you holding up? Rosa's here. We cooked. I'm managing. Good. I'll be there at 8 like I said. We need to talk about the next phase. What's the next phase? You'll see. He hung up. Nora looked at Rosa, who was watching her with that knowing expression. He's going to ask you to go public, isn't he? Rosa said. I don't know. Maybe. You scared? Terrified. Good. Means you're smart. Rosa started gathering her things. But I'll tell you something, honey. I've seen a lot of people in my life. Some brave, some not. Brave isn't about not being scared. It's about being scared and doing it anyway. You've already done the hard part. You decided to fight. The rest is just details. After Rosa left, Nora paced the house, unable to sit still. The walls felt like they were closing in despite the massive space. She kept replaying the press conference, the senator's face when the reporter challenged him, the moment it all started to crumble. Adrian arrived exactly at 8, carrying his tablet and a folder stuffed with documents. We need to talk about your ex, he said without preamble. Nora's stomach dropped. What about him? Evan Carter still lives in the city, works at a tech startup downtown. Married now, 1 kid. Adrian set the tablet on the coffee table, pulled up a file. He also has 2 restraining orders against him from other women. Same pattern, starts controlling, escalates to violence, uses his family's money and connections to make it go away. His family has money? His father's a retired judge. That's how he got the charges dropped when you were together. Called in favors. Adrian's expression was hard. The Hawthorns are trying to get him to testify against you, trying to get him to claim you were the violent one, that you have a pattern of instability. That's insane. It's strategy. They're desperate. He tapped the tablet. But here's the thing. Evan's not going to testify. How do you know? Because I had a conversation with him this afternoon. A very productive conversation. Adrian's smile was cold. I explained that if he even thinks about lying about you, those restraining orders are going to become public knowledge. His wife will find out what kind of man she married. His employer will find out. Everyone will find out. And then I'll make sure every case his father ever touched gets reviewed for judicial misconduct. Nora stared at him. You threatened him. I informed him of consequences. There's a difference. Adrian, he hurt you, put you in the hospital, made you so afraid you couldn't even testify against him. And now he wants to hurt you again because the Hawthorns are offering him money? Adrian's voice was tight with controlled anger. No, that doesn't happen. He doesn't get to keep hurting you. What did he say? He said he doesn't remember anything about your relationship and won't be participating in any legal proceedings. Adrian met her eyes. He was very cooperative once I explained the situation. Nora should have been horrified, should have been disturbed by Adrian's casual discussion of threats and blackmail. Instead, she felt something that might have been relief. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me for that. He stood, started pacing. Now, the next phase. The Hawthorns are going to try to settle. They'll offer money, an NDA, probably a public statement from you saying it was all a misunderstanding. They want this buried before the election. And we're refusing. We're refusing. But that means we need to control the narrative completely, which means you need to tell your story, publicly. There it was, the thing Nora had been dreading. I can't go on TV. I can barely talk to people one-on-one without stuttering. You want me to sit in front of cameras and us? Not TV, not yet. Adrian pulled out his phone, showed her something. Written statement, posted on social media, sent to every news outlet. You tell exactly what happened. The harassment, the humiliation, the false charges. Your words, your truth, no filter. Nora's hands were shaking. What if I mess it up? What if I say something wrong and it makes everything worse? You won't mess it up, and I'll help you write it. He sat down next to her, close but not touching. You don't have to be perfect, Nora. You just have to be honest. People respond to honesty. They're tired of polished political statements and carefully crafted lies. They want real. I don't know how to be real in front of the whole world. Yes, you do. You've been real with me. Just imagine you're talking to one person who actually wants to listen. His voice gentled. Tell them about working the late shift, about trying to be invisible, about a senator's daughter who decided to destroy you for fun. Tell them what it feels like to have your whole life dismantled by people with power and money and no conscience. They'll tear me apart in the comments. Some will. Some will see themselves in your story. Some will remember every time they were made to feel small by someone stronger. Some will finally understand that the system is rigged against people like you. He paused. And some won't care at all. But you're not doing this for them. You're doing this for you. To take back the narrative. To stop being the villain in someone else's story. Nora closed her eyes, tried to imagine writing those words, posting them, letting millions of strangers judge her life. What if my voice doesn't matter? What if no one listens? Your voice already matters. That's why they're working so hard to silence it. Adrian's hand found hers, gentle, grounding. You don't have to decide right now. Think about it tonight. But Nora, you're stronger than you believe. I've watched you survive things that would break most people. This is just one more thing, and this time you're not alone. His thumb traced small circles on her palm. The touch was careful, almost reverent, like she was something fragile he was afraid of breaking. Stay, Nora heard herself say. Tonight, I don't want to be alone. Adrian's eyes searched hers. Are you sure? No, but I'm asking anyway. Something shifted in his expression. Okay, I'll stay. They ordered dinner, sat in the living room eating Thai food and not talking about lawsuits or senators or viral videos. Adrian told her about growing up in the city, about his mother who'd worked 3 jobs to keep him and Julia fed, about the first time he'd realized that being smart and ruthless could be more powerful than being honest and kind. Do you ever regret it? Nora asked. The path you chose? Every day. He said it without hesitation. But regret doesn't change anything. You make choices, you live with them, you try to do better with what's in front of you. Is that what I am? A chance to do better? No. You're a person who deserves help, and I'm in a position to give it. It's not complicated. It feels complicated. Most things do when you overthink them. He set down his food, turned to face her fully. You want to know the truth? The real reason I'm helping you? Yes. Because I'm tired of watching good people get crushed by people who see cruelty as entertainment. Because I built an empire on violence and control, and the older I get, the more I wonder what the point is if I'm not using it to actually protect something worth protecting. Because when I saw you in that diner, frozen and terrified while everyone watched and did nothing, I saw Julia. I saw every person I didn't help because I was too focused on my own empire. He paused. And because you looked at me like I was dangerous, but you called me anyway. Like maybe you saw something in me worth trusting. No one's looked at me like that in a long time. Nora's breath caught. I do trust you. I don't know why, but I do. You shouldn't. I'm not a good man, Nora. I've done things that would horrify you. I'll probably do more before this is over. You stood up for me when no one else would. That doesn't make me good. That just makes me better than the people who stayed silent. Maybe that's enough. Adrian looked at her for a long moment, something vulnerable flickering across his face. You make me want to be better than I am. That's dangerous. Why? Because I'm not sure I know how. They sat in silence, the space between them charged with something Nora couldn't name. Not quite attraction, not quite friendship. Something more complicated, more real. I'll write it, she said quietly. The statement, I'll tell my story. Adrian's hand tightened on hers. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. A slight smile. That's the Nora I'm starting to know. They worked on the statement until past midnight. Adrian asked questions, Nora answered, and slowly her story took shape on the page. Not polished, not perfect, raw and honest and real. She wrote about being invisible, about the cruelty of people who had everything targeting people who had nothing, about the coffee cup slipping, the edited video, the death threats, about being so afraid she'd almost disappeared entirely. And she wrote about Adrian, about a stranger who stood up when everyone else stayed silent, about protection offered without conditions, about the first time in her life someone with power chose to use it to help instead of hurt. That last part, Adrian said, reading over her shoulder. You don't have to include it. Might make things more complicated. It's the truth. You said people respond to truth. They do. But dragging me into this publicly puts a target on your back from people I've made enemies of over the years. I already have a target on my back. At least this one comes with someone watching it. Adrian was quiet, reading and rereading her words about him. Okay? If you're sure. I'm sure. He helped her post it to social media, sent it to news outlets, watched as the first shares and comments started rolling in. Then he made her close the laptop. No reading reactions tonight. You need sleep. I'm not going to be able to sleep. Try anyway. She walked him to the door, suddenly reluctant to let him leave. Thank you. For everything. For believing me. For fighting for me. For staying tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll deal with whatever fallout comes together. He hesitated, then touched her face gently, thumb brushing her cheekbone. You're braver than you know, Nora Vale. I'm terrified. Brave and terrified. They're not opposites. He stepped back, breaking the contact. Lock the door behind me. Alarm on. Call if you need anything. She did as he instructed, watched his taillights disappear, then stood in the silent house holding her phone. The notifications were already overwhelming. Thousands of shares. Thousands of comments. She ignored Adrian's advice and read them anyway. Some were vicious, calling her a liar, a whore, a gold digger, worse. Some were supportive, sharing their own stories of being bullied, destroyed, silenced. Some were just curious, asking questions, wanting more details. One comment made her stop scrolling. I worked at a hotel where Sienna Hawthorne stayed. She destroyed my career over a towel, told management I stole from her room. I was fired, blacklisted, couldn't find work for 8 months. Thank you for speaking up. Someone needed to. Another, my sister went to school with Sienna. She bullied her so badly my sister transferred schools. The family paid ours off to stay quiet. This girl has been doing this for years. More stories, more victims, more people who'd been crushed and silenced and paid off. Nora's statement had opened a floodgate. She fell asleep reading them, phone clutched in her hand, and dreamed of voices in the darkness finally being heard. Morning brought chaos. The statement had gone viral overnight. Every major news outlet was covering it. The hashtag was trending, and Sienna Hawthorne's past victims were coming forward in droves, posting their own stories, their own evidence, their own proof that this wasn't an isolated incident. Nora's phone rang at 7 a.m. Adrian. Don't panic. What happened? Everything. Your statement broke something open. There are 12 women who've come forward so far with similar stories about Sienna. 3 different restaurants, 2 hotels, a country club. All service workers. All young women. All paid off and silenced. He sounded energized, focused. The senator's in full crisis mode. His office has been calling my lawyer non-stop since 5 a.m. They want to negotiate. What do we do? We make them sweat. Let the stories pile up. Let the media dig. Let the senator realize his daughter isn't just a spoiled brat. She's a liability. Papers rustled. Can you handle more press? There's a journalist from the Times who wants to interview you. Legitimate journalist, not tabloid. She's been covering abuse of power, wants to write a feature. Nora's stomach clenched. An interview, like in person? Video call from the house. Safe and controlled. But Nora, this is optional. You've already done more than anyone could ask. She thought about the woman at the hotel, the sister who'd transferred schools, all the voices that had been silenced before hers. I'll do it. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Adrian's quiet laugh carried warmth. I'll set it up. This afternoon, okay? Okay. The interview happened at 3 p.m. The journalist was a woman in her 40s named Patricia Chen, sharp-eyed and kind-voiced, asking questions that dug deep but never felt invasive. Nora talked about the diner, about being invisible, about Sienna's cruelty and the viral video and the death threats, about Adrian stepping in when no one else would. Why do you think your story resonated so much? Patricia asked. Nora thought about it carefully. Because it's not really my story. It's everyone's story. Everyone who's ever been made to feel small by someone powerful. Everyone who's ever been told to stay quiet and take it. Everyone who's ever wanted to fight back but didn't think they could. She paused. I'm not special. I'm just the one who happened to have help when I needed it most. But there are thousands more who don't get that help, who just get destroyed and forgotten. What do you want to happen now? I want Sienna Hawthorne to face consequences, real consequences. I want the senator to stop protecting her. I want the system that lets people like them get away with cruelty to change. Nora met Patricia's eyes through the camera. I want other people like me to know they don't have to stay silent, that their voices matter, that sometimes if you fight back, you can win. Patricia smiled. That's powerful. I hope so. The interview published that evening. Nora's photo, taken by Patricia at the end of their conversation, Nora looking tired but determined, was on the homepage of the Times website within an hour. Adrian called immediately. You did good. I stuttered. I rambled. I probably sounded stupid. You sounded real. You sounded like someone who's been through hell and came out the other side still hoping for better. People need that right now. Nora looked at the photo of herself on the screen. She barely recognized the woman staring back. Not the invisible waitress anymore. Someone else. Someone braver. They're going to offer a settlement tomorrow, Adrian said. Big money. My lawyer thinks they'll go as high as $2 million to make this disappear. $2 million. Enough to start over. Enough to never worry about rent or food or survival again. What do you think I should do? I think you should do whatever feels right to you. This is your life, your decision. I'll support whatever you choose. But what do you think? Adrian was quiet for a moment. I think if you take the money, Sienna Hawthorne learns that she can still buy her way out of consequences. I think the senator learns that throwing enough money at problems makes them go away. I think all those other women who came forward watch you settle and wonder if they should have stayed silent too. But you've been through enough. You've sacrificed enough. You've done more than anyone should have to do. And if you want to take the money and disappear and build a quiet life somewhere else, no one gets to judge you for that. Least of all me. Nora closed her eyes. Thought about Sienna's face in the diner. Thought about all the other faces and all the other stories, all the other victims. I don't want the money, she said quietly. I want justice. Then that's what we'll get. That night, Adrian came over with dinner and stayed late. They sat on the couch, watching the coverage, reading the comments, watching as Nora's story became bigger than her, became a movement, became something that mattered. You're changing things, Adrian said quietly, whether you meant to or not. I just wanted to survive. Sometimes survival is revolution. He looked at her, something intense in his expression. You know this doesn't end quietly now, right? You've made yourself a symbol. The Hawthorns can't just make you disappear. They have to destroy you completely or surrender completely. There's no middle ground anymore. I know. You scared? Terrified. He reached over, took her hand. Me too. You? You're never scared. I'm scared of letting you down. I'm scared of you getting hurt because I pushed you into this fight. I'm scared that I'm using you to ease my own conscience about Julia and all the people I didn't help. His grip tightened. And I'm scared of what happens when this is over and you don't need me anymore. Nora turned to face him fully. Why would that scare you? Because I've gotten used to having someone look at me like I'm more than what I do. Like maybe I'm worth something beyond the power and the money and the fear. His voice dropped lower. You look at me like I'm human. I forgot what that felt like. They were close now, too close. The air between them electric with everything unspoken. Adrian, Nora whispered, tell me to leave. Tell me this is inappropriate. And I'm taking advantage and I should go. I don't want you to leave. Nora. She kissed him. It was clumsy, unpracticed, her first kiss in years. And it probably would have been terrible except Adrian's hand came up to cup her face, gentle and sure, and he kissed her back like she was something precious. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian rested his forehead against hers. This is a bad idea, he said. I know. You're vulnerable. I'm the one protecting you. The power dynamic is all wrong. I know. We should wait until this is over, until you're safe and settled and can make decisions that aren't influenced by trauma and fear. I know, Nora pulled back to meet his eyes, but I don't want to wait. I don't want to be smart or careful or appropriate. I've been invisible my whole life, Adrian. For once, I want to choose something for myself, something real. I'm not good for you. Maybe not, but you're good to me. And right now, that's enough. He kissed her again, slower this time, deeper, and Nora felt something in her chest crack open, not breaking, opening, letting light in. They fell asleep on the couch, tangled together, the TV still playing coverage of the story that had brought them together. And for the first time since the nightmare started, Nora felt something that might have been hope. Morning light filtered through the windows, catching Nora in that disorienting moment between sleep and waking. She was warm, comfortable, pressed against something solid. It took her a moment to remember where she was, whose arm was wrapped around her waist. Adrian. She'd fallen asleep on him. They'd both fallen asleep on the couch, tangled together like they'd done this 100 times before instead of just once. He was already awake, she realized. His breathing pattern had changed, gone deliberate and controlled. I can feel you overthinking, he said quietly. I'm not overthinking. You're vibrating with it. His arm tightened slightly around her. Regrets already? Did she regret it? Kissing him, letting him stay, falling asleep feeling safe for the first time in weeks? No. But the morning light made everything feel different, more real, more complicated. No regrets, she said. Just confusion about what happens now. Now we get up, have coffee, face whatever fresh hell the Hawthorns throw at us today. He shifted and she felt his lips brush her temple. And later, when this is all over, and you're not depending on me for protection, we figure out what this is. If you still want to. You think I'll change my mind? I think you should have the option to change your mind, without feeling obligated because I'm the one standing between you and destruction. He pulled back to look at her. I meant what I said last night. The power dynamic is wrong. You're vulnerable. I'm not going to take advantage of that. What if I want you to take advantage? A slight smile. Then you'll have to wait until you're safe and settled and can make that decision without trauma influencing it. Nora wanted to argue, wanted to tell him she was capable of making her own choices, but her phone buzzed insistently on the coffee table. Reality intruding. Adrian reached for it, checked the screen, and his expression hardened. It's my lawyer. 3 missed calls. He answered, listened, his face going progressively more serious. When? How bad? Okay. We'll deal with it. I'm on my way. He hung up, met Nora's eyes. The senator's holding a press conference in 2 hours. Emergency announcement. My lawyer thinks he's going nuclear. What does that mean? It means he's not settling. He's doubling down. Adrian was already standing, straightening his clothes. He's going to try to bury you so completely that the truth won't matter. Fear spiked through Nora's chest. How? I don't know yet, but we need to be ready. He pulled out his phone, started making calls. Marcus, get to the house, now. Full security detail. I don't care, cancel it. This is priority, 20 minutes. He made 3 more calls in rapid succession, coordinating with people Nora didn't know, speaking in shorthand about strategies and contingencies and worst-case scenarios. When he finally looked at her again, his expression had shifted completely. This wasn't the man who'd held her last night. This was the crime boss, the strategist, the person who'd built an empire on being 3 steps ahead of everyone else. Whatever he says in that press conference, don't believe it. Don't react publicly. Don't respond on social media. His voice was clipped, professional. They're going to try to provoke you into making a mistake. Don't give them ammunition. What if he has something? Some proof that There is no proof because you didn't do anything wrong. Whatever he presents will be fabricated or taken out of context. We'll dismantle it, but you need to trust me and stay silent until we coordinate a response. Nora nodded, throat tight. Adrian moved to leave, then stopped. Came back, kissed her forehead quickly. This gets worse before it gets better. But it does get better. I promise. Then he was gone, and Nora was alone in the too big house with dread pooling in her stomach. Marcus arrived 30 minutes later, a silent presence who did a full sweep of the property before stationing himself in the living room where he could see all entry points. He didn't speak beyond a curt nod of acknowledgement. Rosa showed up an hour later, took one look at Nora's face, and immediately started making breakfast. You need to eat, she said firmly. Whatever's coming, you face it with food in your stomach. Nora tried to eat the eggs Rosa made, but everything tasted like ash. The press conference was in 45 minutes. Every minute that passed felt like an hour. Her phone buzzed. Text from A. Don't watch it live, wait for me to call. Trust me on this. But when the time came, Nora couldn't stop herself. She pulled up the live stream on her laptop, Rosa hovering behind her, both of them watching as Senator Hawthorne stepped up to the podium. He looked different today. Not rattled like the last press conference. Composed, confident, dangerous. Thank you all for coming on such short notice, he began. I'm here to address the vicious, coordinated attack on my family that has been orchestrated over the past week. An attack designed to destroy my daughter's reputation, damage my campaign, and ultimately undermine the work I've been doing for this city. Nora's hands clenched into fists. I want to be clear about something. My daughter Sienna is not perfect. She's young, she's made mistakes, and yes, she can be difficult. But she is not the monster she's been portrayed as in recent days. He paused for effect. The narrative that's been built around her is a fabrication. A carefully constructed lie designed to extort money from my family and generate sympathy for someone with a documented history of instability and violence. That's not true, Nora whispered. Let him talk, Rosa said quietly. Let him hang himself. The senator continued. I have here medical records, witness statements, and evidence that paints a very different picture of Nora Vale. A picture of a woman who has struggled with mental health issues for years. A woman who has been violent with previous partners. A woman who, according to her former employer, had been written up multiple times for aggressive behavior toward customers. The screen split to show documents. Nora's hands started shaking. These are fabrications, Rosa said immediately. Those can't be real. But they looked real. Official letterhead, signatures, dates. Nora's mind spun trying to figure out how he'd gotten them, how he'd created them, how he could stand there and lie so convincingly. Furthermore, the senator said, we have evidence that Miss Vale didn't act alone, that she was recruited, coached, and directed by a known criminal named Adrian Moretti, a man with extensive ties to organized crime, drug trafficking, and money laundering, a man who saw an opportunity to extort my family by manufacturing a scandal. Photos appeared on screen. Adrian entering his lawyer's office. Adrian at the house where Nora was staying. How did they get that photo? Adrian meeting with people Nora didn't recognize. Mr. Moretti has a history of using vulnerable women to accomplish his goals. We have testimony from several individuals who claim he's done this before. Find someone desperate, someone with nothing to lose, convince them to make false accusations against his enemies, then use the media attention to extract settlement money. The senator's voice hardened. My family refuses to be extorted. We refuse to pay criminals to go away. And we refuse to let this young woman be used as a pawn in Adrian Moretti's games. He looked directly at the camera. Miss Vale, if you're watching this, I want you to know that we understand you're a victim too, a victim of Mr. Moretti's manipulation. If you come forward now, if you tell the truth about who put you up to this, we're prepared to show leniency. We're prepared to help you get the psychiatric care you clearly need. But if you continue down this path, if you continue to let yourself be used as a weapon against my family, you will face the full consequences of your actions. The press conference dissolved into questions, but Nora couldn't hear them over the ringing in her ears. They'd flipped it. Completely flipped it. Made her the unstable one, Adrian the puppet master, the whole thing a criminal conspiracy. And they had documents, evidence, proof. Her phone exploded with notifications. She made the mistake of opening social media. The comments were vicious. I knew she was lying, mentally ill and being used by a mobster. What a surprise. The real victim here is Sienna. Lock them both up. Adrian Moretti is trash and so is his little pawn. Nora slammed the laptop closed, but the damage was done. Her heart was racing, her breathing coming too fast, panic clawing up her throat. Breathe, Rosa said firmly, gripping her shoulders. Breathe, honey. This is what they do. They lie big and loud and hope people believe it before the truth catches up. But they have proof, okay? They have forgeries. They have people they paid to lie. They have nothing real. Rosa's voice was certain. Mr. Moretti is going to tear this apart. You wait. You'll see. Nora's phone rang. Adrian. I told you not to watch it. His voice was tight. I had to. No, you didn't. Now you're panicking, and that's exactly what they wanted. Background noise, traffic. Listen to me very carefully. Every single document he showed is fake. The medical records, the employee write-ups, all of it. We're already tracing the forgeries. We'll have proof they're fabricated within hours. But how could he just lie like that? In front of everyone? Doesn't he know you'll prove it's fake? He's gambling that people will believe the lie faster than they'll believe the correction. That's how propaganda works. Hit hard and fast, make people doubt, make them pick sides before all the facts are in. Adrian's voice softened slightly. I know you're scared, but this is actually good for us. How is this good? Because he just committed to a story that's provably false. He put fake documents on national television. When we prove they're fake, he's done. Not just politically done, criminally done. This was desperate, and desperate people make mistakes. What do? You do nothing. You stay at the house. You stay off social media. You let me and the lawyer handle this. A pause. I'm coming there tonight. I know I shouldn't. I know we agreed to keep distance until this is over. But I'm not leaving you alone after this. Okay? Okay. He hesitated. Nora, they're trying to make you doubt yourself. Doubt me. Doubt everything. Don't let them. You know what happened in that diner. You know the truth. Hold on to that. He hung up. The afternoon was agony. Nora paced the house while Rosa tried to distract her with cooking and conversation. Marcus stood guard, silent and watchful. The news coverage was relentless. Every channel dissecting the senator's claims, debating whether Nora was a victim or a conspirator. Some outlets were skeptical. Others ran with the criminal conspiracy angle like it was confirmed fact. The story had fractured into a dozen different narratives, and Nora couldn't tell which version was winning. At 4 p.m., Adrian's lawyer released a statement. Nora read it on her phone, hands shaking. Senator Hawthorne's press conference today contained multiple false and defamatory claims. The documents presented were forgeries, and we are currently working with forensic experts to prove their fraudulent nature. Miss Vale has no history of violence or mental instability. The medical records shown were fabricated using stolen personal information. The employment records were created using forged company letterhead. We are pursuing criminal charges for fraud, forgery, and defamation. Furthermore, we are filing an emergency motion to compel the senator to produce the originals of all documents shown today. We are confident that when subjected to proper forensic analysis, these documents will be proven fake. The senator has now gone beyond political maneuvering into criminal activity. There will be consequences. It was strong, definitive, but would it be enough? The evening news led with dueling narratives. Senator says Waitress is pawn in criminal conspiracy. Lawyer says senator presented forged documents. Choose your reality. Adrian arrived after dark, looking exhausted. His tie was gone, jacket discarded, shirt sleeves rolled up. He'd been fighting all day. Show me, he said immediately. Nora pulled up her laptop. He sat next to her, started going through the fake documents the senator had presented, comparing them to information from his investigators. This medical record, he pointed at the screen, says you were treated at Riverside Hospital in 2021. You've never been to Riverside Hospital, have you? No. The employee write-ups from Metro Diner. These are dated before you even started working there. Look, this one is from March 2020. Your hire date was June 2020. Nora leaned closer. He was right. The dates didn't match. They made sloppy forgeries because they were rushing, probably threw this together in 48 hours when they realized the settlement wasn't happening. Adrian pulled up another file. And this doctor who supposedly treated you for psychiatric issues doesn't exist. Not licensed in this state. Not licensed anywhere. Complete fabrication. So we can prove it's all fake. We can prove it. We are proving it. Forensic document analysts are examining everything. We'll have a full report by tomorrow afternoon. He closed the laptop, turned to face her. But I need to warn you about something. Nora's stomach dropped. What? The senator also filed a restraining order against me, claims I'm a threat to his family, that I've been harassing them, using intimidation to manufacture this case. His jaw was tight. It's garbage, but it means I can't be seen with you publicly, can't be at your lawyer meetings, can't be visible in the fight anymore without giving them ammunition. But you're the one protecting me. I still will, just from the background now. My lawyer will be your point person. Marcus stays on security. I'll coordinate everything behind the scenes. His hand found hers. I'm not abandoning you. I'm just adapting to their strategy. This keeps getting worse. It's worse right before it breaks. That's how it always works. Adrian's thumb traced circles on her palm, that gesture she was starting to recognize as comfort. Tomorrow, we release the forensic analysis. We prove the senator committed fraud on national television. We show that he's willing to break the law to protect his daughter. And then we watch his support crumble. What if it doesn't crumble? What if people still believe him? Then we keep fighting. We keep telling the truth. We keep peeling back layers until there's nothing left for him to hide behind. He met her eyes. You wanted justice. This is what justice looks like. It's messy and slow, and sometimes it feels like you're losing even when you're winning. But we're winning, Nora. We just have to outlast them. That night they sat together in silence, both too wired to sleep. Adrian worked on his tablet, coordinating with his people. Nora read through the supportive messages that were still coming in despite the senator's smear campaign. People who believed her. People who'd experienced similar situations. People who were rooting for her to win. Around midnight, Adrian set down his tablet. Come here. Nora moved closer. He pulled her against him, wrapped his arms around her, just held her. No words. Just presence. Just the solid reality of not being alone. I'm scared, she admitted into his chest. I know. What if we lose? We won't. But what if... Nora. He tilted her face up to look at him. I have spent 20 years building power in this city. I have connections, resources, leverage that the senator can't imagine. I have dealt with politicians, prosecutors, FBI investigations, rival organizations. I have survived things that should have killed me. And I am telling you with absolute certainty that we are going to win this. How can you be so sure? Because I'm not fighting for power or money or territory this time. I'm fighting for something that actually matters. And that makes me very, very dangerous. His expression softened. Also because you're stronger than you think. You've already survived the worst they could throw at you. Everything from here is just cleanup. That was the worst? Fake medical records and conspiracy theories? That's them flailing. If they had anything real, anything that could actually hurt you, they would have used it already. He brushed hair back from her face. You're winning, Nora. You just don't see it yet because you're in the middle of the fight. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that certainty in his voice. Stay with me again tonight, she said quietly. I don't want to be alone. I'll stay. They moved to the bedroom this time. Nothing happened beyond sleeping in the same space, but it felt intimate anyway. Adrian lying next to her fully clothed, close enough to touch, but not touching, both of them staring at the ceiling in the dark. Can I ask you something? Nora's voice was barely a whisper. Anything. When this is over, when I'm safe, and we've won, and I don't need you anymore, will you still want to be here? Silence. Then, I don't know how to answer that without it sounding like I'm taking advantage of the situation. Try anyway. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. I haven't felt this present in my own life in years. Everything I do is calculated, strategic, 5 steps ahead. But with you, I'm just here, in the moment, trying to help, trying to be better. He paused. So yes, when this is over, I'll still want to be here. If you'll still want me, I will. Don't promise that yet. You don't know what normal looks like between us. You don't know if what you're feeling is real or just trauma bonding. Don't tell me what I'm feeling. I'm not. I'm just saying you should give yourself time to figure it out. Without pressure. Without obligation. Nora rolled onto her side to face him. What if I don't want time? What if I already know? Then you'll still know in a month, or 3 months, or 6 months. And it'll mean more because you'll have chosen it from a place of strength instead of survival. He was right. She hated that he was right. You're very frustrating, she said. I'm aware. A slight smile in the darkness. Go to sleep, Nora. Tomorrow we start fighting back for real. The forensic analysis dropped at noon the next day like a nuclear bomb. Every document the senator had presented was definitively proven fake. The medical records contained watermark errors that didn't exist until 2023. The employee write-ups used a font that Metro Diner had never used in their official paperwork. The doctor who supposedly treated Nora didn't exist in any medical database. The report was damning, technical, and impossible to dispute. Adrian's lawyer held a press conference at 2 p.m. She stood at a podium, cold and professional, and systematically destroyed every claim the senator had made. Senator Hawthorne committed fraud on national television. He presented forged documents as evidence in a legal matter. He defamed my client with provably false information. He attempted to frame her as mentally unstable using fabricated medical records. These are not political tactics. These are crimes. She held up the forensic report. We are calling for a criminal investigation into Senator Hawthorne's actions. We are calling for the district attorney to bring charges. And we are calling for the senator to resign immediately, as he has proven himself unfit for public office. The press erupted with questions. The lawyer answered each one with devastating precision. By 4 p.m., 3 major newspapers had called for the senator's resignation. By 6 p.m., members of his own party were distancing themselves. By 8 p.m., his campaign manager had quit. Nora watched it unfold from the safety of Adrian's house, Rosa bringing her food she couldn't eat, Marcus standing guard. The whole world shifting outside while she sat in the eye of the hurricane. Adrian called every hour with updates. 2 of his major donors just pulled funding. His daughter's lawyer just withdrew from the assault case. The DA's office is opening an investigation into the forged documents. 3 of the women from Sienna's past incidents are giving formal statements now that they know you're winning. Each call brought better news. Each hour, the senator's position grew weaker. At 10 p.m., Adrian showed up at the house carrying champagne. Is it over? Nora asked. Not yet, but it's close. He set the bottle down, pulled her into his arms. The senator's holding another press conference tomorrow morning. My sources say he's going to announce he's suspending his campaign. Probably won't admit wrongdoing, but he's done. Finished. You won. We won. You won. Adrian pulled back to look at her. You're the one who stood up. You're the one who spoke out. You're the one who refused to disappear. I just provided resources. The courage was all yours. Nora's eyes filled with tears. I don't feel courageous. You never do in the moment. That's what makes it courage. He wiped away a tear with his thumb. Tomorrow, when he announces he's dropping out, when everyone sees that you were telling the truth, when all those people who called you a liar have to face what they said, you're going to feel it. You're going to see what you accomplished. What about Sienna? What happens to her? The assault charges are being dropped. Her lawyer knows they can't win, but the other women are coming forward now, filing their own suits. She's going to face consequences, just not from you. Adrian's expression hardened, and I'm making sure she understands that if she ever comes near you again, ever mentions your name, ever even thinks about you, she'll regret it. Don't hurt her. I won't have to. Losing her father's protection is punishment enough. She's about to learn what the real world is like when you can't buy your way out of everything. They didn't open the champagne, didn't celebrate, just sat together while Nora processed the fact that it was almost over, that she'd survived, that she'd won. What happens to me now? She asked quietly. Whatever you want. The diner offered your job back. With a raise and an apology, you can take it or not. You can stay in the city or leave, start over somewhere new or reclaim the life you had. Adrian's hand found hers. You're free, Nora. For the first time maybe ever, you get to choose your life instead of just surviving it. The thought was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. What if I don't know how to choose? Then you take it slow. Try things. Figure out what feels right. He paused. I meant what I said about giving you time, about not pressuring you into anything while you're figuring out who you are without the fear. I know who I am. You know who you had to be to survive. That's different from knowing who you want to be. Adrian's voice was gentle. I'm not going anywhere. Take the time. Become the person you want to be. And if that person still wants me around, I'll be here. Nora kissed him, poured everything she couldn't say into it, gratitude and affection, and the terrifying possibility of something more. When they broke apart, Adrian rested his forehead against hers. You're making this very difficult. Good. He laughed quietly. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. The senator's press conference is at 9 a.m. After that, everything changes. He started to pull away, but Nora held on. Stay. One more night, please. Adrian looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. One more night. They fell asleep tangled together, and for the first time in weeks, Nora's dreams weren't nightmares. They were possibilities, futures, choices she'd never imagined she'd get to make. Morning came too fast. The senator's press conference was brief and bitter. He stood at a podium looking 20 years older than he had a week ago, read a prepared statement about focusing on his family and stepping back from public life, and refused to take questions. He never admitted the documents were forged, never apologized to Nora, just quit and walked away. But it was enough. By noon, every major outlet was running stories about Nora's vindication. By evening, the hashtag had shifted from attacking her to celebrating her. By midnight, she'd received interview requests from everyone from local news to national morning shows. The tipping point had finally come, and standing in Adrian's house, watching the world recognize her truth, Nora felt something shift inside her. She wasn't invisible anymore. She wasn't voiceless anymore. She was Nora Vale, the woman who fought back and won. And for the first time in her life, that was enough. The week after the senator's resignation felt surreal. Nora woke each morning in Adrian's guest room expecting the nightmare to resume, expecting new attacks, new lies, new battles. Instead, she woke to silence, peace, the absence of crisis. It was almost harder to handle than the fight had been. You need to leave the house, Rosa said on the fifth day, finding Nora staring out the window at nothing. You've been cooped up here for weeks. The threats are gone. The senator's done. You can go outside. I don't know where I'd go. Anywhere. Coffee shop, park, library. Somewhere that reminds you the world is bigger than this house and that fight. Rosa's voice was gentle but firm. You won, honey. But you're still living like you're hiding. She was right. Nora had been so focused on survival that she didn't know how to do anything else. What if people recognize me? What if someone says something? Then you hold your head up and keep walking. You're not the villain in this story. You're the one who stood up. Rosa squeezed her shoulder. But you can't start healing until you reclaim your life. And that means leaving this gilded cage. Adrian called that afternoon, voice tight with something Nora couldn't identify. I need to see you, tonight. There's something we need to discuss. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, just we need to talk. I'll be there at 7. He hung up before she could ask more questions. The hours until 7 crawled by. Nora paced, mind spinning through possibilities. Was he ending whatever this was between them? Was there new danger she didn't know about? Had something changed? Adrian arrived exactly on time, but he wasn't alone. A man in an expensive suit followed him into the house carrying a briefcase. Nora, this is James Chen. He's a financial advisor. Adrian's expression was unreadable. We have some business to discuss. Nora's stomach dropped. What kind of business? They sat at the dining table. James opened his briefcase, pulled out documents. Miss Vale, I'm here on behalf of several parties who wish to remain anonymous. They've established a fund in your name, compensation for what you've endured over the past few weeks. He slid a paper across the table. Nora looked at the number, then looked again. $3 million. I don't understand. The women who came forward after you did, Adrian said quietly. They wanted to contribute, to say thank you for giving them the courage to speak up. Some donated directly. Others connected me with their families, their supporters. People who've been fighting powerful predators for years and finally saw someone win. I can't accept this, Keith. You can and you will. Adrian's voice was firm. You lost your job, your reputation, your sense of safety. You put yourself on the line to expose corruption and cruelty. This isn't charity. This is recognition that what you did mattered, that your courage opened doors for other people to find justice. James pulled out more documents. The fund is structured as a trust. You'll receive a monthly stipend, enough to live comfortably while you figure out your next steps. The principal remains invested. You can access it for education, housing, starting a business, whatever you need to build the life you want. Nora's hands were shaking. I don't know what to say. So say you'll accept it. Adrian's eyes were intense. Say you'll use it to become whoever you want to be instead of whoever you had to be to survive. She signed the papers in a daze. James left, and Nora sat staring at documents that represented more money than she'd make in a lifetime of waitressing. Why do I feel guilty about this? She whispered. Because you've been taught that you don't deserve good things, that you should be grateful for scraps and never ask for more. Adrian moved closer. But you earned this, Nora. Not through what happened to you, but through how you responded. You could have taken the settlement and disappeared. Instead, you fought. You spoke up. You helped other people find their voices. That has value. I just wanted to survive. And in surviving the way you did, you changed things. Whether you meant to or not. He paused. The diner wants you back. Management's offering you a supervisor position. Better pay, better hours, actual benefits. But that's not what I wanted to talk to you about. Nora's chest tightened. What is it? Adrian stood, paced to the window, looked out at the darkening sky. I'm leaving the city, for a while. Maybe permanently. The words hit like a physical blow. What? The restraining order Hawthorne filed. It's still active. My lawyer's fighting it, but the attention on me right now, the scrutiny on my business operations, it's not sustainable. He turned to face her. And honestly, I'm tired. Tired of the violence, tired of the chess games, tired of building an empire that doesn't actually give me anything worth having. Where will you go? I have property in Colorado, legitimate business interests, places where I can step back from the criminal side of things and just exist. His voice was careful, controlled. I'm not running. I'm choosing a different life, one that doesn't end with me in prison or dead in an alley. Nora stood on shaking legs. When? 2 weeks. I'm transferring operational control to my second, selling off the assets that are too dirty to legitimize, setting up structures so the people who depend on me are taken care of. He moved closer. I wanted to tell you myself, before you heard it from someone else. You're leaving me. No, I'm leaving this life. There's a difference. Adrian reached for her hand. Come with me. The world tilted. What? Come with me to Colorado. Start over somewhere clean. Somewhere you're not the woman from the viral video. Somewhere you can figure out who you are without all this weight. His grip tightened. I know it's fast. I know we barely know each other outside of crisis. But I'm asking anyway. Come with me and let's see what this could be when we're not just surviving. Nora's mind spun. Leave the city. Leave everything familiar. Follow a man she'd known for 3 weeks into an unknown future. It was insane. I need time to think, she managed. I know. That's why I'm telling you now instead of the night before I leave. Adrian's thumb traced circles on her palm. Think about it. Really think about what you want. Not what's safe. Not what makes sense. What you actually want. He left soon after, and Nora spent the night staring at the ceiling, mind racing through possibilities. She could stay. Use the money to get her own place, maybe go to school, build a normal life in the city where everything had happened. Safe, predictable, alone. Or she could leap, trust the pull she felt toward Adrian, risk everything on the possibility that what they'd built in crisis could become something real in peace. Morning brought no clarity. Nora finally took Rosa's advice and left the house. Walked to a coffee shop 3 blocks away, the first time she'd been in public since the diner incident. People looked at her, some with recognition, some with curiosity. But no one approached. No one harassed her. She was just another person getting coffee on a Tuesday morning. She sat by the window with her laptop and finally did what she'd been avoiding. Read through every message, every comment, every article about her story. The hate was still there, but it was drowned out by something else. Stories from women who'd been harassed, assaulted, silenced. Thank you messages from people who said her courage helped them report their own abusers. Donations to women's shelters made in her name. A scholarship fund established for young women escaping domestic violence. Her fight had rippled outward in ways she never imagined. One message stood out. From the woman who'd worked at the hotel where Sienna had destroyed her career. I got my job back. The hotel reviewed my case after everything came out about Sienna. They apologized, reinstated me with back pay. It's not everything, but it's something. Thank you for speaking up when I couldn't. Thank you for showing me it was possible to win. Nora closed her laptop, tears streaming down her face. She'd spent her whole life invisible. And in becoming visible and refusing to disappear, she'd helped other people step into the light too. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. This is Patricia Chen from The Times. I know you're not doing interviews, but I wanted you to know that your story was nominated for a journalism award. The feature we did together, it's resonating with people, changing conversations about power and privilege. You should be proud. Nora stared at the message. Proud. She'd never associated that word with herself, but maybe she should. She spent the week thinking, talking to Rosa, who told her to follow her heart, talking to Adrian's lawyer, who said Adrian was serious about leaving the criminal world behind, talking to Marcus, who revealed that Adrian had been planning his exit for years, just waiting for the right moment. He's different around you, Marcus said, the most words she'd ever heard him string together. Less sharp, more human, like he remembers who he was before all this. If you're good for him and he's good for you, don't let fear stop you. On the 8th day, Nora went back to Metro Diner for the first time. The manager, a woman named Teresa who'd always been kind, greeted her at the door. Nora, I wasn't sure you'd come back. I wasn't sure either. They walked through the diner together. It was early afternoon, quiet, just a few customers scattered in booths. Table 7, where it had all started, was empty. I meant what I said about the supervisor position, Teresa said. You'd be great at it. And the staff would respect you. They all know what you went through. I appreciate that, but I don't think I'm staying in the city. Teresa nodded like she'd expected that answer. Where are you going? Colorado. Maybe. I haven't decided for sure. With that man? The one who helped you? Nora smiled slightly. Maybe. He worth the risk? Was he? Nora thought about Adrian's hands carefully holding hers, his voice in the darkness promising she'd be okay. The way he'd fought for her when no one else would. The way he looked at her like she was worth seeing. I think so. I hope so. Teresa squeezed her arm. Then go. Build something new. You've earned it. Nora sat in table 7 for a while, remembering the humiliation, the fear, the moment Adrian had stood up and everything changed. A young waitress approached hesitantly. Miss Vale, I just wanted to say, what you did was really brave. I've had customers treat me like garbage, and I never knew I could push back. You showed me it's possible. You can always push back, Nora said quietly. You just have to decide you're worth fighting for. The girl nodded, eyes shining, and walked away. Nora left the diner feeling lighter. She'd needed to come back, to face the place where she'd been broken, to prove to herself she'd survived it. That night she called Adrian. I've made a decision. His voice was careful. Okay, I'm coming with you to Colorado, to whatever comes next. She took a breath. But I need some things to be clear first. I'm listening? I'm not coming as your project, not as someone you need to save or fix or take care of. I'm coming as your equal, as someone who wants to see what this could be between us when we're both choosing it freely. Agreed. And if it doesn't work, if we get there and realize we were just trauma bonded and there's nothing real underneath, I need to know I can leave, that I'll have the resources to build my own life if this falls apart. The trust fund is yours regardless of what happens between us. That was never conditional. Adrian's voice warmed. Anything else? Yes. I want to do something with the money, something that matters. I want to start a foundation for women who've been silenced by powerful people. Legal funds, therapy, relocation assistance, whatever they need to fight back. She paused. Will you help me set that up? Silence. Then, thick with emotion, it would be an honor. Then I'm in. Let's do this. The next week was a blur of packing, planning, saying goodbye to the small life she was leaving behind. Rosa cried when Nora told her, then immediately started planning care packages to send to Colorado. Marcus nodded approval. The lawyer drew up papers for the foundation, which they decided to name the Julia Moretti Fund in honor of Adrian's sister. Adrian closed his operations with surgical efficiency. People who'd worked for him for years were paid out, given legitimate job placements, protected from blowback. The dirty businesses were sold or dissolved. The clean ones were restructured under new management. He was meticulous about burning bridges to his old life so completely there'd be no way back. 3 days before they were set to leave, Nora got an unexpected call. Sienna Hawthorne. She almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. What do you want? Sienna's voice was small, nothing like the cruel girl from the diner. I wanted to say I'm sorry for what I did to you, for all of it. Nora waited. My dad's gone. His career's destroyed. My friends won't talk to me. I'm in therapy now, court mandated. I have to do community service and attend classes about privilege and empathy and all this stuff I never thought about before. A shaky breath. I know you don't care. I know saying sorry doesn't fix anything, but my therapist said I needed to try anyway. Your therapist is right. It doesn't fix anything. I know, but I'm saying it anyway. I'm sorry for being cruel, for using my privilege to hurt people who couldn't fight back, for thinking it was funny to destroy someone just because I was bored. Her voice cracked. You didn't deserve what I did to you. No one did. Nora closed her eyes. She could hear the sincerity, but she also heard the self-pity underneath. Sienna was sorry because she'd faced consequences, not because she genuinely understood the harm. But maybe that was enough. Maybe that was all accountability ever looked like. I hope you actually change, Nora said finally. I hope you become someone different, someone better. But I also hope you understand that you don't get forgiveness just because you apologized. You have to earn it, and that takes years, not a phone call. I know. Good luck with your therapy. Nora hung up before Sienna could respond. She didn't feel satisfied exactly, but she felt something like closure. The villain of her story was broken too, was facing her own consequences, was maybe even trying to change. It wasn't justice, not really, but it was something. The night before they left, Adrian took Nora to dinner. A small restaurant in a quiet neighborhood. Nothing fancy, just good food and privacy. Last chance to change your mind, he said over wine. No judgment if you want to back out. Do you want me to back out? No, but I want you to choose this freely, without feeling obligated. He reached across the table for her hand. I'm in love with you. I probably have been since you called me terrified and still asked for help. But love from me doesn't mean you owe me anything, especially not your future. Nora's breath caught. You love me? Completely. Probably unwisely given that we met in a crisis and barely know each other outside of it. But yes, his thumb traced her knuckles. And I'm hoping that maybe, given time and space and a chance to be normal people instead of warriors fighting battles, you might feel the same way. But even if you don't, even if we get to Colorado and you realize this was just survival mode, I'll still be glad I helped you, still be glad I knew you. She stood, moved around the table, kissed him in front of everyone in the restaurant. I love you too, she whispered against his mouth. And I'm terrified and excited and have no idea if this will work, but I'm choosing it anyway. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing us. Adrian's arms came around her, solid and sure. Then let's go build something worth having. They drove to Colorado the next morning, 18 hours through changing landscapes, from city to plains to mountains. They talked about everything and nothing. Adrian's childhood, Nora's dreams she'd never admitted to anyone, the foundation they'd build together, the quiet life they'd try to create. The house was in a small town outside Denver, modern but warm, windows overlooking mountains, space and light and peace. Nothing like the sterile showplace in the city. This was a home. It's perfect, Nora breathed, standing in the living room while sunset painted the mountains gold. It's ours, if you want it to be. I do. They spent the first week settling in, unpacking, exploring the town, learning how to be normal people on dates and grocery shopping and morning coffee on the deck. Learning each other without crisis driving every interaction. It was strange and wonderful and occasionally awkward. They had fights about stupid things like where dishes went and whether to get a dog. They had moments where the trauma resurfaced and one of them would shut down and the other would have to be patient. They had nights where Nora woke up screaming from nightmares and Adrian held her until she remembered she was safe. But they also had mornings making breakfast together, afternoons hiking mountain trails, evenings reading in comfortable silence. Moments where they looked at each other and realized this was real, this was working, this was becoming something solid. A month after they arrived, the Julia Moretti Fund officially launched. Nora did interviews about it, her face on websites and magazines, but this time she was in control of the narrative. This time she was speaking on her terms. The foundation funded 3 women in its first week. Legal fees for a waitress suing her employer for harassment. Relocation costs for a woman escaping an abusive politician. Therapy for a hotel worker who'd been assaulted by a wealthy guest. Nora read their thank you messages and felt purpose solidify in her chest. This was what she'd survived for. Not just to escape, but to help others escape too. 6 months after they left the city, Adrian proposed. They were hiking a trail they'd come to love, the one that ended at a waterfall, when he stopped at the summit and pulled out a ring. I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring this out. But I also know I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Building this foundation, building a life that matters. Choosing to be better every day because you make me want to be. He smiled. Marry me. Or don't. But know that I'm asking. That I'm choosing you every day for the rest of my life, whether there's a ring or not. Nora looked at the ring, simple, elegant, exactly her style, and then at the man holding it. The crime boss who'd walked away from his empire. The protector who'd fought for her when everyone else stayed silent. The human underneath all the armor who'd chosen vulnerability over power. Yes, she said. Yes to marriage. Yes to building this life together. Yes to all of it. He slid the ring on her finger, kissed her with the waterfall roaring beside them and mountains stretching forever in every direction. They were married in the fall, small ceremony, just Rosa and Marcus and Adrian's lawyer and a handful of people from the foundation. Nothing fancy. Just promises made in front of people who mattered. Nora wore a simple dress. Adrian wore a suit but no tie. They wrote their own vows. I promise to see you, Nora said, hands shaking but voice steady. To never let you disappear into the shadows again. To remind you every day that you're worth more than what you've done, that redemption is possible, that love is stronger than guilt. I promise to protect you, Adrian said, eyes locked on hers. Not because you're fragile, but because you're precious. To stand beside you while you build something beautiful from the ashes of what almost destroyed you. To be worthy of the second chance you've given me. They kissed while everyone cheered, and Nora felt something settle in her chest. Peace. Real peace. Not the absence of danger, but the presence of something worth protecting. A year after leaving the city, Nora went back for the first time. The Julia Moretti Fund was opening its first physical office, a space where women could come for help, for resources, for the support Nora had almost lost forever. The grand opening was covered by news outlets, attended by advocates and survivors, and people who believed in the mission. Nora stood at the podium in front of cameras and journalists and strangers, and she didn't stutter. I was invisible for most of my life, she said. I was taught that staying quiet kept you safe, that making yourself small meant you wouldn't get hurt, and for a while that was survival. But it was also a prison. She looked out at the crowd, found Adrian in the back row, his eyes steady and proud. This foundation exists because I learned that being visible is worth the risk, that speaking up, even when your voice shakes, can change everything. Not just for you, but for everyone who comes after. She paused. We're here for the women who are still invisible, the ones who are terrified to fight back because they don't think they can win. We're here to tell you that you can, that your voice matters, that you're worth fighting for. The crowd erupted in applause. After the ceremony, a young woman approached Nora hesitantly. I saw your story, about the diner, about standing up to the senator's daughter. It gave me the courage to report my boss for harassment.